Trial this. It'll be less than 2 hours, right?
She said Michael said it. I said,
Oh, well, that-
half the crowd.
I mean, I see
I need the bread and butter pickles. He does work every.
Well, he's always working.
I'm gonna have to shut that.
When you look at this,
Like an angel in the sunlight there, Mike.
you don't notice it when you look the other direction. I looked back, like,
You
yeah.
can see it. The treasurer, so but he'll go under public because he's here as harbor commissioner. And then the other is Steve Ross, not related. Okay. And if you ever don't know someone, you can ask, go right. But if you I know you put on the one. But probably something. So no, so if it was like they came late and they left, you can just say, oh, who was that person?
Yeah. You can watch it tomorrow, you can watch it live. I mean, you don't have to watch it live. You can watch it the next day.
So.
I mean, bother.
The museums will give a presentation.
This one is meeting start.
Okay, it is 5 o'clock. On September 12th, 2023. I'm going to call this regular town board meeting for the town of LaPointe to order. Take a roll call. Mike Anderson.
Here.
Amy Baxter.
Here.
Susan Brenna.
Here.
Samantha Dobson.
Here.
And Glenn Carlson here. The first item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any public comment that is a minute or less? Hearing none. We'll move to the second item on the agenda, which is a presentation by the Wisconsin Historical Society. And I see their smiling faces all on the screen. And so I don't know who's going to start. Nick, are you going to lead the Angela?
Angela, yep.
Okay, Angela, please. Take
Wonderful.
The floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. It's so good to be with you again. As you probably know by now, I'm Angela Titus, Assistant Deputy Director and Chief Program Officer for the Historical Society. And I want to thank you for giving us time on your agenda. You guys are always so generous with us, and we truly appreciate it. So we're looking forward to sharing all the latest on everything happening at the museum and to answer any questions that you might have. So today I'm joined by my colleagues, Nick, Maggie, and Kelby, as you pointed out, and they'll be sharing some specific updates on different topics. So we're going to talk about how the season went this year, and we're also simultaneously planning next season already and beyond. So kind of walking and chewing gum at the same time. And we also have the new historical marker that we've been working on. As you know, we engaged with a number of community stakeholders in the past year, especially the tribal nations, and we'll share where we are with those replacement markers. And then lastly, we'll update you on the stockade removal and the next steps on that. I'm sure you've noticed some activity going on today. It's opened up that corner, which you know, given the master planning that you're all doing, I think we can really contribute in a much better way than prior to having that stockade up with your community spaces and thinking about how you're really trying to activate that downtown area. So that's super exciting. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn it over to Kelly, who's our site director for the museum, so she can share how the season went, and then she'll hand it off to you know, Nick and Maggie, and then we'll take any questions. And you know, obviously feel free to interrupt us anywhere along the way if something doesn't make sense, or if you want to clarify anything or chime in. We're more than happy to pause. Okay, Kelly, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Angela. It's good to see you. I don't get to see Angela very often, so this is really nice for
Yeah.
me.
And you'll see me in a couple of weeks. So I'll be up there in
Yeah,
Madeline Island. I
can't
forgot to
wait.
mention that. A group of us will be descending on you all soon. So
Yes, we're looking forward to that. You'll hear about that in a little bit, but we've had a really great season, and to date we've had nearly 8,000 paid guests, which is really pretty astounding. And that you know, that includes 540 school children from 15 different schools. We've had 840 program attendants, and we're not done. I think you folks all know that we don't close until really the Saturday of Fall Fest is our last day. So in keeping with the MEA holiday tradition, we are open for that. And then we've had a number of wonderful, oh, sorry, I guess I'm quiet. My apologies. Okay, great, thank you. We've had a wonderful speaker series in conjunction with the Wilderness Preserve, artist in residencies. We had Biscogene, Greg Johnson from Fond du Lac, or no, Lac du Flambeau. I always get those two mixed up. We had Dana Trickey from White Earth, and we had Antone Crow from the Brotherton Band, which was, oh, he did some fun things. So that's been really great. Obviously the community open house, a number of you were at the open house. That's always, we're really always happy to have that preview, that sneak preview for the Islanders the Friday before we open. Visitor appreciation always falls with in conjunction with the free state park. I don't know where my brain is. State park weekend and the free fishing weekend in June, and that's always really fun. Fur trade weekend, it was a blast this year. And then of course we have the upcoming Island Boutique. So if anybody wants to get involved, feel free to give me, you know, a shout. We need vendors and all that other fun stuff. But, you know, really what I'm most proud about this year is the two exhibits that we've had. Rita Vanderventer, Everything Around Me Inspires Me. And if you come in and you take a look at it, she has such a breadth of works. A lot of things that look, you know, are paintings around the island, or indigenous depictions of indigenous folks, but then she's gone and beaded on the canvases, and it's just, but then she has a peacock, but it's beaded, and it's really amazing. And just, if you know Rita, she's from Red Cliff. She's been working in the area forever, but it's just really wonderful to have all of her works in one place. And then too, we have Convergence, which is featuring the work of 6 Ojibwe women artists, including Valeria Tatera from Bad River, Leah Yellowbird, who's a Canadian Anishinaabe Algonquin Métis. She's from the Bemidji area. Karen Goulet is from White Earth, Minnesota. Karen Savage Blues from Fond du Lac, Minnesota. Ramona Morrow and Terry Hom are both from Lakota Ray. So it's a really nice representation of women from across the northern tier of the two states. And I always like to point out that while we've drawn lines, the lines were a little less discreet once upon a time. So I like having a full representation, especially including our Canadian friend. It's just really nice to be able to include all of those folks. So that's been wonderful. And if you haven't been in yet to see it, I strongly encourage you to do so. It's a really wonderful exhibit and has really received a lot of just really positive response. So I just really appreciate the town's support of the work we do. And I'm going to turn it over to the next person. Is that Nick?
Is me. Thank you,
It is
Kelby.
you. Thank you.
As Kelly mentioned, there will be a group of us, including myself and Angela. Maggie will be on vacation coming up to Madeline Island very soon at the end of the month. We were able to find some hotel reservations. It is peak fall season, so a lot of folks coming up. But we're coming up for the unveiling of a new historical marker outside the Madeline Island Museum. You may recall that in 2022, the marker that was right alongside sort of the approach along the sidewalk leading up to the entry of the museum was removed because that marker claimed that the French had discovered Madeline Island. And we certainly know that is not true. And it did not recognize that long history with the Ojibwe and this central significance of the island to them. So we've gone through a process of rewriting a marker for that location, preparing a new marker. And it was written in concert with Historical Society staff, members of both Bad River and Red Cliff Nations, to tell the origin story of the Ojibwe on Madeline Island. And so that marker is actually in development right now. I believe it's actually arrived, hasn't it, Kelby? It's already in location. It will be erected soon, not in the ground yet, but erected soon. And we'll be unveiling it at Treaty Day on September 30th at noon with members of officials from both Red Cliff and Bad River. And all of you, the public, the general public, as well, is invited to the dedication. That said, we're also working on a second marker for that location, and that's going to be developed in early winter in 2024. And we'll be going through a process of community review. And actually, when we're up in the end of September, there's going to be a meeting with the Friends of the Madeline Island Museum. And we're going to start talking about what that marker could become. We have not identified a location or its size or the topic. And so that community process will be developing soon. You might recall that we had a temporary sign up in front of the museum asking for some ideas of what a future marker could also cover. And so we have some of that response. There wasn't a lot in the QR code or left off at the museum, but we have some of those responses to build from. But of course, deep community engagement will also be used to shape this future marker. So more to come on that. We're hoping that once we get something in draft form, we'll be able to either erect a marker around this time again next year, or then probably for the following year. So lots of exciting things happening with that. And I'll turn it over to Maggie to talk about the stockade, which was actually just removed yesterday.
As you all saw, I'm sure, as you walk past the down Colonel Woods Avenue, that the stockade did come down yesterday. We hired a firm, an architectural and engineering firm, Context, to come in and do a review of the stockade, and they concluded that it was unsafe and recommended its removal. We did have our director of facilities, do an analysis of the stockade, as well as our manager of risk and safety, and they all were on the same page that it was of unsafe condition. So our CEO, Christian Overland, consulted with the chairpersons of the Red Cliff and Bad River tribes. And we also were in communication with some of our stakeholders, including the Friends of Madeline Island Museum, who helped us send out some communications to island residents and interested parties. The deadline, as you know, for the Gazette was on Friday. We have put in some information to go in the next issue of the Gazette so that folks can learn more about the stockade coming down. It was, as I'm sure you all saw, it was rotting, it was leaning, it was not, the posts we discovered were only about 4.5 inches into the ground, and it was starting to come down. So we proactively removed it to ensure that no one was harmed by it. We are pretty excited about what may come next. Michael kindly shared the master plan for the city and the green spaces part. And as Nick and Angela both inferred, you know, we feel like there's some good room there for collaboration with you all and creating a meaningful green space that can be a community gathering place and a place for everyone to use. And I'm sure you all have been looking at the new appearance of the museum. There's kind of a new facade, and it was pretty interesting to see the views from inside the museum. There's a beautiful lake view now. So we'll be considering how we're going to be using those entrances now and the courtyard, and we will be looking for your input on how you think we might utilize that courtyard now that it's not enclosed by the stockade. If you notice, there's a new sign up where that blue sign was. There's now a copper colored sign that has a QR code on it, and you are welcome to submit feedback there. And then we'll also be reaching out to get your feedback in person or online. So there'll be a number of different ways that we'll be looking forward to hearing from you about your ideas for that space. So it's an exciting time, an exciting next step for the museum. So that is my update for you on the stockade at the Madeline Island Museum. And if anyone has any questions, we would be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
I have a
Mike,
question.
go ahead.
Do you know what year was that stockade built?
So Kelly, if I miss a detail, fill it in, but it went up in 1958 when the museum opened.
And then when they moved the museum backwards, they had to reconfigure how that stockade fence hooked up with the museum, so that, and the other one had also deteriorated. So they did, it is the second iteration. I'm not 100% sure when that one went in, but
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, thank you all very much. I say everyone who has seen the new look is pleased with the openness of it, and impressed that the new sign that you put up mentions that the old stockade came down on September 11th. And it actually did come down on September 11th. That was amazing planning on your part.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you.
Our facilities guy he's a genius.
Yeah.
He gets it done right.
Kudos. Anyhow,
Thanks.
thank you all.
I do have to call out Evan and Evan.
Evan Jr. is in the room. So
There we go.
Thank
All
you
right.
so
Yeah,
much,
thank
Evan.
you. Yeah.
It was just a wonderful job, and our facilities guys were just tickled with how well it went, and they were very impressed with your skills. So
I want
wanted
to quick
put that
echo
in public
something.
record.
I want to echo something that Maggie said. We are definitely inspired by what Michael Cookta shared of your future plan for the town. And there's a lot of great opportunity for us to continue to work together and imagine the future of Madeline Island Museum and that specific change there. There's a lot of great things that we can do together in that space.
Yeah, really can activate that space. So thank you all for allowing us to join you. Great to see everybody.
See you soon.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Moving on, we have actually a request to move item 5C, Harbor Commission, up to the present time.
5C up to now.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are going to go into closed session under state statute 19.851E for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session. If the town goes into closed session, it will reconvene an open session before adjourning. So is there a motion to go into closed session? And we will, of course, allow the Harbor Commission to remain.
I'll make a motion. We go into closed session.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, roll call. Mike Anderson. Aye. Amy Baxter.
Yes.
Susan Brenna.
Aye.
Samantha Dobson.
Yes.
Glenn Carlson, yes. So we are in closed session. And I see that Olive has her headset on, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay. And we will be going back into open session